Welcome to From the Den podcast, providing Bears and NFL fans alike with compelling news, discussion, and debate. I'm your co-host Benjamin, joined alongside my dear friend and co-host Oren.
Hey Benjamin, let's get right into it. As always, kickoff starts now.
Last year, I felt like the Bears' whole offense was doing terribly, and I think that, in my opinion, and in most Bears fans'
Yeah,
opinion,
we've all been over this in previous episodes too. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah. So why do you think the offensive line was so bad?
It's really jarring and strange, honestly, that the offensive line had such a heavy decline. It didn't seem like there was some big personnel change or anything that would cause that heavy decline. So the one thing I can blame is a lack of discipline. As we've said in other episodes, in 2018, no one really expected much from the Bears, and they were able to fuel off that underdog mentality and go to a 12-4 record. The next year, there were super high aspirations from fans and even other analysts, and they got too cocky and undisciplined, and they fell to 8-8. I think that the part of the Bears team that was impacted the most by this lack of discipline, it was the Bears offensive line. There were so many more penalties from guys like Bobby Massey, and usually guys who were the Bears had a solid offensive line in 2018.
The Bears I know this is a bad metric, but the Bears had 2 Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
It's to show that imagine right now Charles Leno being a Pro Bowler.
So the one thing I can blame is a lack of discipline and bad coaching from Nagy, because in the first few weeks, like Nagy, he wasn't letting in a lot of starters into the preseason, which was fine by fans at the time, by me too, until I think that's when I realized the significance of preseason, in that they were playing so sloppy for the first few weeks and then really through the rest of the season. I think in the first few games, that lack of discipline is understandable, but it's on Nagy. Well, it's been on Nagy since the start, because you're coaching this team, you have to keep them sharp. But it gets even worse when Nagy doesn't do anything to change and to make sure that they have less penalties throughout the season. So, like always, I'm going to blame Nagy here. But of course, it should be the fault of some of the players for not taking it upon themselves to realize their situation and improve on it, if not at the start of the season, midway through the season, when they're realizing what's going on with the offensive line.
Yeah, so I would say the Bears' offensive line issues are to be blamed on them. And looking at what the Bears did this offseason, I think that Kyle Long retired, and the Bears signed Jermaine FTD, who I think was a solid sign. They only signed him for very cheap. He'll compete for the right guard position, and probably he's the most likely to get that position. But I think that looking at the Bears offensive line right now, they didn't really change that much from last year to this year. And I think that's very interesting, because it was pretty obvious that the Bears offensive line had an issue. And like I said, I have to blame the Bears offensive line, and I can't come to something to blame, to blame them on, because
maybe from the Bears' perspective, or from Nagy's perspective, or Pace's, it's that in 2018, with the same corp, aside from Kyle Long, they were able to succeed. So their mindset is, we don't really need to bring in so many other players, when it's clear that these players do have the potential to be good or great when under the right coaching. So in defense of Nagy or Pace, I think their mindset going in and not acquiring a lot of new players was that if we were good in 2018 with these same players, we should be able to recover in 2020.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's interesting, because I want to blame the Bears offensive line for their issues, because clearly there's really no one else to blame. But why does Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, this is kind of off track, but why do they have so much faith in the Bears offensive line that they'll rebound if they had such a bad year? All they did was re-sign Jermaine FTD and get offensive line coach Juan Hastillo.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or, if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.